Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ideological doctrine and ego in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Kalyani Verma, who runs Kalyani Yoga. She does individual and sessions and group classes, and her sessions encompass elements of strength, flexibility, breathing techniques, and relaxation. So, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, Nick. How are you?
All right, yeah.
Good.
So, you've told me that you've had some odd coincidences that seem like they had a sort of meaning to them that was more than met the eye.
Yes, yeah, I
And
think so.
did they guide you in your life then?
Yes, but I feel that definitely early on in life, those things that happened, it's only on reflection when I look back at it and I thought, wow, there were things there for a reason, or they were guides. At the time, I was simply following things. And at the time, it didn't feel like I was guided. But when I look back, it feels like those events happened for a reason. And by looking back at my life, I feel that now I'm more relaxed and more, what would be the word, like stress free, because I try to allow all things in life to guide me. So even if things that are bad or that feel bad, um, rather than allowing it to eat away at me, I might think, okay, they're happening for a reason. It's okay, because everything in life seems to have slotted into space up until now. So, sorry, slotted into place up until now. So why wouldn't they continue to?
Right. So how do you how did that start for you? Because I imagine at the beginning it wasn't it took I guess did it how did you learn to go with the flow then?
Yeah, go with the flow. So it didn't happen till later in life. So in going through school and things like that, I definitely didn't. I felt like you would do your studies, you do your A levels, you go to university, you're making all the choices, or you feel like you're making all the choices and you're making all the decisions, and you are carving out your life. That's what it feels like. And so I would do that. And then when I came out of uni, actually even there, so I finished my degree in mechanical engineering, and I wanted to, because I also had wanted to pursue my passion in dance, in Indian classical dance. And so I thought, I didn't take a gap year before uni, but I thought after doing my degree I was going to take maybe a year or 2 years out to go to India and just study dance, which I did. But at the end of my degree year, as I was looking for jobs and things like that, I didn't expect it, but I got offered a job. And so with that job, it was a good job. And coming out of uni, they wanted me to start as soon as possible. So then I had to decide, even there, am I going to do my 2 years of dance, or should I take this job up? And so I thought,
Right.
okay, at that time, you're 20 something and everyone's telling you you should do your degree and then get a job. That's what you're supposed
Yeah.
to do, not go go off on a whim, settle down. So I thought, okay, fine. I cut my desire for dance down to 3 months instead of 2 years, and did my time or some time in India practicing my dance, and then started my job at Gillette in 3 years after coming out of uni. And it was a great job and it was really good. So then went along with that, and that was fine. And I was quite happy doing that. I didn't feel like I'd completely lost out because I enjoy engineering as well. So I was quite happy.
Right.
But then after that, after I don't know, maybe three years or so, couple of things. One, I'd done well in the company. I was moving along, as you do in jobs, and then I fell pregnant, which was great. It was great. But then I got offered a job there where I would be on night shift. And I thought, well, if I'm pregnant with a child, there's no way I want to be doing night shift. So it was a great opportunity, but I didn't. For me at that time, I thought, well, how do I make this decision? What do I do? But then in the same sweep, the company was then going under, was going to shut down, and they were going to be, and then they were handing out redundancies. So in a way, it worked in my favor. Um, so I didn't have to take up this night shift. Okay, yes, I was being made redundant, and so then it was like, okay, what do I do now, job wise? But that redundancy offered me a chance to start again, to try something else. And I was lucky with Gillette because the redundancy program was over a period of 2.5 years. So it wasn't as though I was suddenly out of work. There was a period of time. I happened to have two children in that 2.5 years. So I was still with Gillette under their redundancy program or their slow release of everybody, but I was on maternity leave. Um, and that worked well for me. And in that time, I was able to think about what I wanted to do.
So,
Um,
just by
mm,
chance, the redundancy and the maternity leave payments
yeah,
combined so that you didn't need a job in that period.
yeah, exactly. So it was like
Perfect
a
timing.
little, yeah. And then on top of that was Gillette, as part of the redundancy package, they offered extra money for retraining. So so I then decided there it was like, okay, they're giving me, money that you could only use for training. So it was a chance for me to retrain in something. And I thought, okay, well, do I continue with engineering and do something along those lines, or do I do something completely different? And then my yoga teacher at the time, because I was just doing yoga as a hobby at that time, and I really loved it. She had started up a foundation course, and she said, "Why don't you think about becoming a yoga teacher?" So I was like, okay. And she said, look, I've just started the course, but you can catch up. I'll do some private sessions with you to catch up. You can do it. So I did. And I had the money. So it wasn't like I didn't have to, like, it was as though the universe was like saying, look, here, have some money. You can go and do this. So I did the course. And then at the same time, somebody local to me was doing a diploma course. So I could sign up to that.
And that
Um,
was to learn how to
to become a
teach.
yoga teacher.
Right,
Yeah. So it was a yoga diploma because never did I know at school. So when I was doing my A levels that I was going to become a yoga teacher.
right.
And now, that is my life teaching yoga. I absolutely love it. And it really feels like, how we all have our purpose in life.
Yeah,
And I think sometimes in life, because of how the world is, sometimes we might not know our purpose, you know?
right,
We might think, oh, we're supposed to go get a job, earn money, buy a house, get a car, whatever it is. But the way we do that can be in many different ways. It doesn't have to be doing a degree and getting a job and whatever it might be. I think each of us has our destiny. It's just being open and being aware of when the universe sort of gives you opportunities. You still decide whether to take it or not, but the universe is always looking out for you and it will guide you.
right.
And that's how it felt. Yeah, because everything just fell into place. And then with the yoga teaching, that really helped with my family situation as well. It was perfect, for me and my family, with a young family, being able to slowly build it up.
Right. So were you, for you to already be receptive to the idea of doing yoga,
Mm.
had you already come across it in your life before?
Yeah, so I didn't realize how impactful it was. So from a young age, yoga has been there. My dad, he traveled when he was sort of 18 to 20 with a guru in Sri Lanka and India. And this guru was large, or he was huge. He has a huge following in America. Swami Satchidananda, part of integral yoga.
So he wasn't overweight then.
No, not that time. No, he isn't. Um, and so this Swami, this guru, was always at our house because he was a friend. Whenever he visited London as a child, I would have grown up with him and knew about him and yoga, but I never did yoga as a child. I saw it all around me, but I never did it. And it was never, a career option at that time, but it was always there. It was there.
So what exactly is integral yoga?
Oh, integral yoga is about because yoga is integral. It's just that it isn't necessarily always taught that way, in that sometimes in the West we might only see that it is asana, the poses, and that you do different shapes to keep your body flexible and fit.
Right.
But yoga actually encompasses many other things. Yoga is how we behave, how we live in this world, our own observances that we might hold. It is the breath work, it is the postures that we keep, it is then concentration, meditation, and then ultimately reaching that ultimate bliss, that enlightenment, um, that connection, the union with your inner self, your true
And
self.
is that what is integral yoga, like a holistic yoga rather than just having the poses?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Right.
holistic practice. Yeah.
So it's like a spirituality.
Yeah, it is. Mhm.
So how do you sum up the spirituality as a whole?
So I know with yoga, it helped me connect with my spirituality. So before I embarked on the diploma course, I come from quite a spiritual family in terms of our religious teaching, but I didn't really feel that connection because it's all very well to be taught to be religious, and follow certain customs and what have you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you are spiritually connected. That happens to each of us when it does, and depending on your own life experiences. So for me, yoga really helped me connect with God spiritually. And I didn't have that before. Didn't have that before I embarked on learning to teach yoga.
It felt like natural rather than imposed on you.
Yes, yeah, because it definitely felt as a child you just do things because you have, and you begrudged it. Or I did at times. Some bits were fun, but some were a pain, and you just do it. But it didn't feel like I didn't feel that connection with God. Whereas now, I feel there is a connection with that power. I really truly believe it's like magic. That's how it
Right.
feels.
Is it this idea that we're all connected?
Yeah. And that we can, and by connecting ourselves with our true selves, we are connecting with that true self that is within every single being, that we're all connected. And that's that energy that's so consistent and unchangeable. Whereas this body, our thoughts, all of this is just changing stuff. It's just stuff.
So what is God to you?
Hmm. So, God to me would be that energy that is there and a guiding light that is there looking out for all of us. Um, and I feel, yeah, it just feels safe knowing that there is something, some other power there, like and I call it the universe, and that sort of that power there that's looking out for us.
Where is it?
Don't know. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And
Right.
and I feel God is something that perhaps we as humans are not able and perhaps not supposed to define. I don't think in our, what we know, I
Right.
don't think we can define it.
Okay. Because at very least, we're not ready yet to fully know that there's different levels of understanding,
Yeah.
right? And we're at this level. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
go into a new level and we'll understand it better. But
that's it.
there's always another level, right?
Yeah, there is. That's it. And I think it's quite humbling for us to know that because sometimes we can get too headstrong and egotistical thinking that we as humans know it all, because we're so advanced with our technology and all these things that, we're on it. But it's quite humbling to know, no, there's something much bigger than us that's within us. And actually, we don't need to define it. We don't need to know it either.
Is that liberating as well to be?
Yes, I feel it is. Yeah. Because sometimes things happen in life, you don't understand it and you don't know why. And if you try to understand it, it can make it feel really heavy and stressful.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Like, I know what it's like to not know what's going on. And yeah, I'm starting to realize it's okay not to understand.
Mm, yeah. And I think that is really liberating. I think that's where that faith comes in when we have faith in the universe. So that's perhaps where, religions may have, started in that to give humanity that release so that they don't feel overwhelmed, they don't feel stressed, just have faith in God. But sometimes the way religion can be taught, it can be a bit too full. It's just odd. Sometimes.
There's a difference to me between absolute faith, where there's a sort of just believe with absolute certainty and don't question and obey,
Mm,
which to me is like if you're in an abusive relationship. Whereas a truly loving relationship would be you just you have faith in each other or you have faith in God, right? But you don't like you don't know.
yeah.
It's the
And
lack of certainty.
yeah. And I think you don't have to mindlessly obey either. There's nothing in that loving relationship. There is nothing wrong with, wanting to question and being able to be open about it. Because I think also sometimes if you think about, how religion is taught, at the end of the day, they're just being taught by other humans. It's not like they're being taught by God. It's, a human is the messenger. And how does that human know any more than you as a human? That's just their interpretation.
Right.
It's up to each of us to take that information and sort of digest it and make our own assumptions, make our own rules, as it were, as well. We have our own values that are important to us, and those values are what lie with our true self. And that's what we have to always remember to connect back to, those true values, not what somebody tells you should be, or how social media or your peers say you should be. Us staying true to ourself, that inner self.
Our soul.
Yeah, it is a bit. And I think sometimes it's really, you have to put time in to connect with yourself, to know that self. Because otherwise, when you're too involved with this outer bit, perhaps how you look or how you're being perceived by everybody around you, you lose that connection. And that's when we can feel a bit lost.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, I can relate to that. So, what's Nidra yoga?
Okay, so with Yoga Nidra, so that is a systematic practice whereby you are using a sort of a technique, a meditative type technique, to allow the mind to come to that point just before we fall asleep. Because actually, even when you look at reality and dream state, what's not to say that our dream state is reality and reality is the dream state? Well, because that's weird, isn't it, when you think about it? Why is
Yeah.
it that, it could be that this is the dreaming bit, and actually when we sleep is the real bit.
Or that this is also a dream and it's just
Yeah,
dreams within
exactly.
dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So, so aside from all of that, with Yoga Nidra, you're looking at hovering on that fine line. So, whereby you are still aware, but you're trying to not be caught up with the thought mind. Yes, you're not thinking, but nor are you dreaming. You're just there. So you're very alert and you're very open and perceptive, but you are not thinking. Because I suppose we're very aware. We can either be actively thinking when when we're awake, yeah, and we're here, and I'm thinking, I'm talking, I'm thinking about what I'm saying, and then the other complete flip side is dreaming, and I'm not really in control. Those thoughts are just coming. Or I say control, but I don't think I'm in control. So with Nidra, you're looking at coming to that midpoint before you, that sort of fine line. That's where you're looking to hover at, that fine line of perception. And when we can come to that space, it can be very restful for our body, for our mind, because we're not busy thinking, but is more restful than sleep when we can practice in this way to help quieten the mind. And it also helps us connect with our intuition, that true self, I was
Right.
talking about, it helps us connect with that energy.
So, is it related to the what Eckhart Tolle refers to as the silence that speaks when your mind's
Yeah,
quiet?
yeah.
It's
Mm,
like that. Um, it's the same thing, is it?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's because if we allow our minds to be quiet and just listen, then we will hear that silence speak. We will hear ourselves speak.
How do we allow it to be
We
quiet when our ego is very active?
constantly fighting. So it is so with the ego, um, you have to keep working at it. And it is that the quietening practices of meditation, and perhaps also being mindful in the practices that we're doing. So, we live in a world where it's quite normal to be interrupted by an email, by a text message, by a phone call. That's just common. It's not, you know, and more so we're so connected. So one step would be to be mindful in our activities that we're doing, and going further still is to be meditative. And to be meditative, you have to practice. It's not to be meditative all day, but to spend time purposefully meditating. And what that means is is ourselves being able to gently control those mind thoughts so that we can quieten them, that we don't have to react to every thought and every sense stimulation.
All right, thank you. So, so you're vegan, right?
Yeah, semi-vegan. Yeah,
Is that
I am
is
vegan.
that linked to your spirituality?
Yeah, I think so because that's come about more so to the point where that maybe last year or earlier this year, I felt like actually taking milk from cows was worse than eating meat.
Really?
If Yeah, because like these poor cows, they have their calves taken away from them, and then we sit there taking their milk off them. That's worse. That's torturous if you think about it, compared to just killing an animal and eating it. I think eating is more humane to eat meat than it is to take the milk from a cow.
That's a surprising perspective.
It is
Huh,
that's what was messing with my head.
maybe.
And
It's just wow. I mean, I'm considering going vegetarian, but now it's like, I mean, it's intimidating to make that kind of commitment, right?
yeah, it is. It does feel like that. Nick, put it this way. If I don't mind eating, as in I've never eaten meat and I haven't got a problem with other people eating meat. I think what it is, it's more how we bring those animals up and how we are obtaining these products. So, for example, with the cow and the milk, if we had the system whereby the cow can keep the calf drinks the milk from its mother, and we take some of the excess, I'd be happy with that.
Maybe it was done that way or something.
It would have been done that way at the beginning. In the same way, say, chickens, we have them free running roam and they're happily living their life. And then one or two we might kill now and then to eat for me. I'm
I
not
guess we were
interested in
more
eating
in
meat though.
harmony at one point, and
Yes.
it reminds me of this whole thing idea of the Kali Yuga and these different ages where there was a golden age, we're more in touch with things, and this is like the dark age before a new golden age or something.
Maybe.
Well, I
Yeah.
suppose that's not really your expertise, right?
No, I've no idea on those, but I'd be hopeful. I'd love it because I think if we could live more harmoniously, definitely. And I definitely feel like we're just taking from the earth so much and we don't give
Right,
back. We
yeah.
like ruthlessly, selfishly just take. I think all of us could do with being just give. Don't, but we're in a world where you're supposed to take and collect and keep, and that makes you successful when you've got lots of stuff.
Yeah, it's how it's yeah, and you're supposed to work really hard to get all that stuff, and that's a sign that you're a valuable member of society, that you've got all this stuff that you've
Stuff.
collected.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
why wouldn't it be great if we'd be more valuable because of what we gave, what we give?
Yeah.
That
Uh,
would be so much better.
so do you know what prana is?
Yes,
How do you
little.
explain prana?
So I'd say that is that energy that's connected to the universe, that connects each of us, that prana within us. And that's even that energy is also in the food that we eat. So there's part of that as well. So if you imagine, coming back to animals, vegan, vegetarianism, if that animal has been traumatized and lived a horrible life, and then you go and then eat that animal or drink that milk, that prana is not going to be good. If you even that milk from that cow, where this poor mother has been, had her calf taken
Is
away,
it like
she's
emotional
tortured.
energy?
Yeah, it can be. It
Okay,
can be. And then you're taking that prana, by having
that
that.
makes sense.
And then that doesn't sit well with me. Yeah.
So like you're trying to awaken, you're just eating meat, like, and it just kind of like it can happen, but like, I mean, I guess part of it is a process so you're aware of more a sense of that you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
And as you get more awareness, that's why you start changing.
Yes.
Um, so where does karma fit into this then?
Hmm. So karma fits in terms of, um, I guess, the deeds or the way that you live each life and how that determines where you'll be in your next life. And depending on your karma of your previous life, you might have some deeds or sort of challenges that you have to get over this life, and maybe that's why things are put in front of you,
Right. Is it
to
always past lives, or is it stuff that you've done in this life that might
it's
affect you in this life too?
both. It can be past life stuff, and it is stuff that you're doing in this life. So what is always important is to be very present and to do the best that you can right now to try and rectify what has happened in the past of this life, and also what's happened in your previous life.
You know,
Z-
I one can experience things that feel like they're negative and they feel like, okay, maybe this is karma from a previous life or something, but it feels so unfair because you don't know why it's happening.
mm,
But I
it's
guess you
true.
got to accept that it's part of the
That's it, I think. And
um,
like you said, if you allow it to be as part of, that's where it can be mm, freeing,
mm.
liberating. Yeah, because otherwise it feels too heavy, because
How
then
do
you're
you let
sitting there.
go of that brick? That's the way it's been portrayed by some. Like,
I use mantra a lot. I chant mantras, and I swear by them, and I'll use different ones for different things. I
okay,
feel
so tell us about those, please.
so. Again, it connects with the prana and the energy, and I feel sound has a lot of energy. So this is one of the big teachings that my yoga teacher for diploma she taught me. So my yoga teacher was a lovely Irish lady, a Catholic Irish lady,
Huh.
but she was also Shivananda style trained in her yoga, and but she was very spiritual, amazing lady, and she taught us a lot about sound. So we might have been told that rhyme, sticks and stones will hurt me, or was it, what is it, but words
Sticks
will
and
never hurt
stone.
me.
Yeah,
Sticks and
get that.
stones, is that it? Yeah,
They
sticks and
break my
stones will
bones.
break. Yeah. So with that, what is important to remember is that words can hurt you, and words are even more powerful than physical things,
Yeah, I
because
don't know why
physical
we're
things,
taught that. It's almost like the
yeah,
wrong lesson to learn completely.
exactly, it's true. It's true. um, because yeah, sound and the words, the energy behind those words, they have so much power, and once they're out in the universe, you can't pull it back.
Yeah, yeah. There's something you can't take back, and you're just like, yeah, I said that.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you sat
Mm.
on your own and you still said it,
You've still let it out. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So due to that, I've been very mindful. So from that, I'm mindful about what I listen to and what I watch, the company that I keep. I like it to be positive. I like it to be kind. I'm not interested in watching too much aggressive things or violent things or sweary things, or whatever it might be. I just won't have it. I won't bring it into my environment. If it's there, it's fine. I'm not going to, be bothered by it. But to help me feel stronger, that I make sure that the sound that I'm listening to is pleasant, kind, peaceful. So I'm a bit of so it could be like, how parents might listen to rock music or something like that. I'd be like, oh gosh, that stuff's awful. Why you always, and I'm like that with the kids, but I think that just goes with the parental role.
Yeah. I mean, I like metal, right? But I
Hmm.
guess recently I've been more and I like rock music as well, but I guess
Hmm.
classical is more something to focus on if you want to raise your frequency.
Maybe. And it could be it's the energy behind the words as well, because sometimes it's some of the lyrics that I don't like. It just doesn't sit well with me. And so the tune might be all right, but I think, nah, that's not for me. So that'll get parked. But coming back to mantra, sorry, I've diverged. So with mantra, it's the strength in that. And sometimes when I'm confused or I don't know why a certain thing is going a certain way, I just put it out to the universe and say my mantras. So I might have a mantra. So I've got one for which is respective of Lord Ganesh, and he's the elephant-headed god, the remover of obstacles. And
Okay.
I use a mantra,
Could you
and
give an
that's
example? Could you chant it?
so it's Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. That's
Right.
the Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha.
Om Gam Ganapatiya
Namaha.
Namaha.
Hmm.
Right.
And so, and I will just repeat that in my mind. So sometimes when mantras are new to me, I have to say it aloud a few times, because if I try and repeat it in my head, it's not coming out right. So I have to repeat it out loud first a few times, maybe write it down so I can see it. And then I just keep repeating it. And I'll repeat it in my head. I quite like to give myself the challenge of repeating it 108 times. And I've got mala beads to help me do that. So like rosary beads. to give it more strength. And when I'm doing that, my mind thoughts are not occupied with whatever it is that's bothering me. I'm focusing on the mantra and I'm asking the universe to help me out. And lo and behold, everything unfolds and it's okay. It's really weird. I, you know,
Uh,
I,
well, I
all I
think,
know is it works.
well, you've got me interested. So if you're interested, well, look it up
Yeah,
because
definitely.
these different mantras could help in different situations. And Sanskrit is
Yes.
one of those languages that has a sort of magical
Yeah.
power to it.
Power. The
I've
sounds
heard
do.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, what's the Jewish language called again? I'm trying
The
one
what?
here.
Oh, Kabbalah. Is it the Jewish language?
Yeah,
No, it's not Hebrew, is it?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Kabbalah is their mysticism.
Okay.
But I mean, good that you knew
Yeah,
that.
but but yeah, with Sanskrit, because I know later in life I would like to learn that more in depth, because the sounds they have so much strength and it's the vibration. So our universe, Nick, one thing we can understand is that everything has a vibration. Because even
Right.
if you think about creation and how we all come together, it's mind blowing when you actually try and think about it. How from a little seed do we get plants? How are humans created from these little bits and bobs? It's You just can't imagine it, but still it happens all the time. But all these cells and all these things, they have vibrations, and that's why our sound energy is so powerful, and our mantra can connect with that energy. So if ever we're feeling off kilter, I swear by mantra. That is my go-to, chanting mantras. Yeah.
Are there
And
any
yeah,
other key mantras that you use?
there's that. And then I do, oh yeah, so hum, which is I am. So that's quite a good one for not being connected with the ego, just so hum. But oddly enough, that's a really hard one to keep the mind focused on because it's a bit easy. Does that make sense? When
Yeah,
it's easy, our brain's like, oh, yeah, I can say so hum and I can think about this, that, and the other.
yeah.
But in a way, that's good discipline to try and get myself on it. I use a Gayatri mantra. That is a universal mantra. That is Om Bhur Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodaya. And that's quite a lovely
It's just
mantra.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
So if it sounds nice,
Hmm.
is that a hint that it's positive?
Yes.
'Cause- okay, this sounds going to sound weird, but I had a dream where I heard like a language or something, and it sounded what I was hearing sounded just unpleasant to hear,
Oh,
but it almost sounded like a little bit like Sanskrit.
yeah, maybe.
So
Who
I don't know
knows?
if it was
Yeah. And I think with mantra, for the listeners to know, it's to try different ones, listen to different ones. And if you find one that connects with you, it's like it's your mantra, like it's one that sits well for me. So I've given you a few examples of ones that I like. Doesn't mean that you will like them or that they'll be effective for you. It's about experimenting and trying out for, a day or so, see how it sits with you. And you will find some just sit really well, and it feels natural to repeat them and to do them. I think the nice book that is, I think it's called a Mantra for Healing. There's a nice book, and that there's lots of different mantras in there, explanations of what they can be used for. Um, but often getting our tongue to roll around and pronounce them can be difficult. But that shouldn't matter, because if you're even having a go with the intention, it doesn't matter if the pronunciation is not quite right. God's not gonna not help you or you know
right.
berate you for not
I mean
pronouncing
that's
it
actually
correctly.
nice to know because you might wonder like, okay, do I need to get it just right? Otherwise the effect doesn't work. But like
Mm.
I guess if God's watching and everywhere, then it's like, okay, it's fine. That the
And
intent,
it's the intention. Yeah. And
yeah,
if you've got that
God's not
intention,
pedantic, right?
no, not at all. I wouldn't have thought so. And I think that's important to remember as well, that God is our only judger, and yeah, he, she, it's not. particular or pedantic, not at all. Think very kind, loving. That's how God is.
So you always get a sense that God is loving, and what's going to happen will be ultimately for the best.
Yeah,
And that's
definitely.
ultimately because there's different time scales, right?
Yep. So whatever we're going through right now, we're supposed to.
This whole lockdown and
Mm.
this and them planning these controls on us, like, what do you feel like the whole spiritual purpose is?
Um, Again, I don't feel that I can or need to know the purpose. I have to have that faith that it is happening for a reason. I
Right.
don't need.
That we'll find out why it happened later, potentially.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah. Because who knows? A few years down the line, we're like, oh wow, look, because of that, look at all these other things that happened, and things have improved or whatever it might be. Yeah,
Yeah. And that is to say, trusting God when it comes to it, not necessarily trusting the authorities.
yeah. But you're trusting God. And even with trusting God, it is that God is guiding even those authorities, even though it may not look like it. And we have to have that faith.
I mean, it depends how you interpret that, because there's almost there's a potential for rebellion against God on some level. There's those who are going with harmony and those who are going against harmony, right?
Yeah, yeah, there is. Because I suppose it's that balance between. That's why it is important to know what your values are so that you are always fighting for those true values that you have within you.
Right.
So, definitely, it doesn't mean that you just lay back and let everything happen. Yeah, because that could be one way of looking at it, that I'm going with the flow so much that I'm not going to stand up against anything, which wouldn't be the right way to live. Because if it is not aligned with your values, you change either what you're doing, or if you're able to, change what is happening outside of your circle.
Is that a principle in yoga?
I think it probably is, because there are codes of conduct in ways that you should behave. There's yamas and niyamas, an aspect of, strong aspect of yoga, and they are those sort of codes of conduct that you need to be good. It's similar to the Ten Commandments in terms of how we behave. So yes, it would be there,
So what
and you
are the
need.
main yamas?
Oh, now you've got me. So I can even list them out. So ahimsa is non-harming. Asteya is honest. Asteya? I can't remember. Satya is honesty. Um, you have. Oh, now you've got me really, Nick. You've really put me on the spot.
You gave me two. You gave us two. That's something.
Yeah, because I always remember them. When I get off this call, I'll remember them all. You watch. I'll
Okay.
remember them all. But yeah, with ahimsa, it's very important. So, say with ahimsa, the non-harming, not only is that physical, non-harming, make sure you're not harming yourself and you're not harming others. So that comes to even in the world in how we live. You know, okay, by perhaps using my car, I'm harming the universe. I'm harming the world that we live in. So I should be mindful of that.
It's difficult because we have a society where there's this whole way of doing things, and it's harder to
Mm,
fit in if you don't do it that way. But
yeah.
changes need to happen. It's like we get these systems that just it needs something to change, and yet it's structured a certain way. So what do, right?
Yeah. So you just do what you can within your limits, and you do it with kindness to yourself. So, like, you don't berate yourself because, so it doesn't mean I don't ever step into my car to live my life. I might make other changes, or perhaps not use my car for every single journey. It might be, doing little things, whatever you can within your remit. And when we analyze ourselves, as satya is being honest. So be honest with how you are behaving. Don't kid yourself and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm being really good." When actually, are you? Are those actions ahimsa? Are they? And questioning those things.
Right. So, like, for example, questioning if why you're trying to do the good thing, if it's for like looking good or generally,
Yes, exactly. I might even be able to find. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Yes.
because
Oh,
you
here we
might
go.
think that you're doing it for a good reason, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
at least asking those questions is good.
Yeah, exactly. Asteya, I've got a little list here now, is non-stealing. That was it. I knew him. So non-stealing, I know That's
What
pretty
counts as
obvious.
stealing? What are
Exactly.
intellectual property or ideas? Like if you're
Yeah,
borrowing
there's those things.
good with positive intentions to share it, is that still stealing? I don't.
No. So I think if you are honest and that you are like telling your audience, I've learnt this from so and so, or this is where I got it from, or this person inspired me, then you're still giving credit. You're not taking it to be your own. You're not saying, oh, these are my new ideas and this is what I've created. Because it's great, you're right, to share things because you've been touched and taken by them. So you want to share it with other people. But that wouldn't be stealing. Stealing might be often an example I give in class when I'm teaching this to my students. It might be, um, say, in the office, taking paper for your own work, for example, simple thing, because actually that paper in your office is there to do work. Or it might be making, well, in the old days where we didn't have mobile phones, and this would be pre your time, Nick, you might be on a phone at work and you're using the phone to make a private call. That phone at your work is for work.
And suppose if the law actually, what if there was a form of thing that you could consider stealing, but isn't illegal?
Yes,
The
that's right.
idea is that it's still stealing, right? Because it's not
Yes.
the
Hmm.
law; it's divine law, kind of, right?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, divine law. So yeah, you have that. Oh, and the other one is aparigraha, non-hoarding. So aparigraha is you shouldn't cling on to everything. Like we were talking about collecting all this money, collecting all this stuff, how we look, how we are perceived. Don't
So
hoard
what's the
it.
difference between, on one hand, aestheticism, where you have hardly anything, and the other
Mm,
hand, hoarding? Is it about the balance?
yeah, it is about the balance, and it's also knowing that you are not defined by all the things that you hoard. You can still have
Right.
them, but
They
it's
might
just,
take you away from you.
yeah. And that you won't be torn apart if they are removed from you. Yeah. So if tomorrow you don't have that, how are you going to be? What is your attachment
I
like?
probably do have attachments, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I know that I do with certain things. Like, so I love my bed, like, so if that bed was taken away from me, like, so if I had to live on the streets, yeah, that would rock my boat big time. I like my comforts that I have, a
Yeah, I
heated home.
suppose one thing we can do is be grateful for what we have. Like, I mean, be grateful for pain that you don't have, I suppose that's one thing. Because when I
Yes,
had a
yeah.
gout flare
Oh
up,
yeah.
like it
Mm.
was, I was limping around. But now I don't have that. I mean, it's great to be able to actually walk properly.
And but did you have that appreciation before you had your flare up
Mm,
as much, or do you think it's
often
stronger
what I
now?
had is like stronger probably, because often when
Mm.
I had it, I was like, oh, it's awful. And when I didn't have it, I was like, not thinking about it, just going to normal, right? And
Mm.
I don't want to forget that it's great to
That's
not
good.
have that.
Yeah, because sometimes I think that's why we even get ill. It's like a reminder. I'm not that I'm wishing that anybody should get ill, but even the common cold or things like that, sometimes those are like, like I said to you before the call about me, needing to take rest yesterday. Sometimes you sort of your body like goes, look, whoa, you're doing too much. You're taking your body too far. You need to show a bit of appreciation. You need to pull back a bit. And I always know, say even breathing, like, what's the worst when you have a cold, when you're all blocked up and you can't breathe. And then when you can breathe again, doesn't it feel amazing? And it's
Yeah.
like you've been breathing all the time before, but you never thought it was so amazing. But you get a cold and then you start breathing again. You're like, oh, wow, I can breathe again. So it's, that appreciation, yeah, that gratitude really helps. And then it's good to have our things and be grateful for our things and not want more all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so you have the list there, dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah, do. So I've got yamas. So we've got ahimsa, non-harming, satya, honesty, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya is restraint. So with brahmacharya is not overindulging, and aparigraha is non-hoarding. So those are the like right living or moral codes.
Right.
Then you've got niyama. So these might be observances, so externally. So sausha, which is cleanliness,
How do you spell niyama?
Niyama.
All right.
And Sauka is cleanliness. So cleanliness, not just outside. So that's a good habit to have, to clean yourself, keep your body clean and healthy, but also cleanliness inside.
Is it
S-
energetically,
Yeah,
emotionally?
yes. So that would be things that you watch, things that you listen to, things that you eat, company that you keep, all clean, or thinking about it being
What
clean.
counts as clean?
That will be up to your own interpretation. And it will change, as you said, Nick, as time goes. What you think is clean and nice, I don't know, a couple of years ago, actually now, you might prefer somebody else. Because it's like, I might not like to keep company where if the conversation is too gossipy or too unkind, I'm not interested. And if I'm there, it's fine, but I won't over involve myself, or I try not to. So that's that cleanliness. Then we've got, Santosha, which is contentment. So that's where, like we were just saying, being grateful for what we have and not wanting more, having that contentment. Tapas is very important, discipline. So
I just thought it was
having,
nice and tasty.
yeah, that too. That's always my line in teaching. Yeah, not the Spanish kind of tapas. Yeah, this is discipline, and having the discipline to practice whatever it is that's good for you. So if it be meditation, yoga, reading, whatever those good things are, having the discipline to keep doing those things. Svadhyaya is self-study. So just like this, these podcasts, that inquiry to the self, to sort of understand what's going on in the world, what's going on within me, what am I about? That's that self-study. And then the last one is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is surrendering to the divine. That is having that faith in God.
That can be hard at times.
Really hard. And that,
So, what do you have any advice about how to do that?
I think with that, it's you define God as you want to, and you have to have, in a way, it's weird. We sort of expect God to prove themselves to us before we'll believe in God,
But that's
which is
that's the
naughty.
trick, right?
Yeah. um, but I think God does send us things to prove themselves. Yeah. But we've got to be open to know and receive. So my experiences would be the use of the mantra and the magic that happens when I have that faith. Then I'm like, thank you, God. Yes, you sort of.
Hmm.
But it's being open to it, Nick, because if we are not open, we miss it. Because we might have a different expectation, but actually God might be like, no, actually, this is what you need, not what you think you need.
Yeah, that's a. But when you are open to it, it can really move you, right? And it
Mm.
just really suddenly, it's just like, well, how do you just how do you describe how it feels?
It just feels, it feels safe. That's what it feels to me. I feel safe, I feel held, and I feel loved.
So I suppose we've always got, what's the word for God in yoga?
Hmm. Pass. Don't think this. Do you know what? In yoga, it's not defined as such.
All right,
It's
but you're
more,
loved by the divine, and that,
yeah.
and we all are, even in the darkest moments. So,
Hmm.
well, that's pretty comforting. And you know what? We've talked about a number of different things. We talked about yoga. Maybe another time, if you've got more you want to say about yoga, I could interview you again. But this is pretty good.
Okay, good. I hope so. I hope it's been interesting.
All
And
right. So
yeah.
bye, listener, and bye, Kalyani.
Bye, Nick. Thank you.